Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is SO Chris, 199 security officer. Still a security officer to this day, okay? Got my Christmas Dutch Bros coffee. Got my chessboard here. One of the last videos that I made, which was about a month ago, I did film inside this new house, my new house. In the back room when I went over the Convergys call center video. But the next video I'm actually going to be making for this channel is actually when I worked security here in New Mexico before I got the current job that I have now. But for this week, I haven't uploaded in a little while, other than the video last week. But I'm gonna start this video talking about something I've been thinking about for about the past week or so. And yes, this is the living room. I got a Christmas tree right here. Got my Nintendo 64 hooked up here. This is what it's like living in the cold Southwest. Okay, so this is New Mexico. This is a part of my new adventure, my new life, even though I've been living here for about 9 months now. Still feeling new. So for the people out there that don't know, I kind of fell into like a pretty deep depression for about 2 days. I'm finally out of it. Last night, I started feeling like so much better. I think it's just a lack of sleep and things like that, because I work a graveyard shift and will be for probably the next 3 years at this, my career. So, but other than that, yesterday, the day before, last week, and probably the week before that, I've been thinking about this thing that's quiet quitting, okay? In the American industrial capitalist complex. So I remember I was walking around this pool area where a bunch of kids were like swimming and playing. And I remember I was like on patrol, and this was here. This was probably about 5 or 6 months ago. It was around when I first moved here. I remember I called 101 on the phone, and he said, I was telling him about the job and how much money I was making, like once I moved from Phoenix, moving here to New Mexico. So he said, I remember him saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this job? You don't deserve this. I remember he said like something like that. Because the thing is that I've been doing unarmed security, and, you know, everybody knows it's kind of a bullshit job. That's what I was telling my coworker actually the day, or like a couple days before I ended up resigning. So, which was a whole ordeal, and I'll get into that in the next week's video. But, because that video is going to be like a 30-minute episode just by itself, but because so much happened in like the 5.5 months I worked there. So anyways, yeah, so 101 was telling me that, like, you shouldn't be doing this because you already earned your stripes. You've already earned your respect. You should be earning a lot more money. It's basically what he was saying when I was working at the pool. And I remember I just kept walking around outside. This had to have been like late April this year, 2025. And I remember like I just kept thinking about that like over and over again when I was doing my exterior patrols. Like, well, it actually ended up getting a lot better because I ended up getting the government job. So, which is what I've been doing for the last 2 months. And I get paid a whole lot more money. I literally get paid more than double than what I was getting paid at the security job. It's just one of those things where, you know, God has a plan. You fit into this plan. He's going to give you the resources, the money. You dumb yourself down, life-wise style. Live more as a virtuous monk, you know, for like a Christian monastery kind of thing. That's essentially what I was doing when I was living at my in-laws is, you know, don't go out buying stupid stuff for yourself and whatever, which is what I wanted to talk about, which has to do with the subject of quiet quitting. So, which is something, even way before this was even a phrase, I was doing this for like 20 years. So, yeah, it's So I remember that, and I remember like there was a thought in my head, you know what, why don't you just walk out on the job? Like I was telling myself, why don't you just quit then? Like, because he's right. Like I shouldn't be have to, I have 5 years experience. They didn't match, I'm going to get into it in the next week's video, but they didn't match my pay. They didn't work with me. They gave me like a shit schedule. So it's, but it's one of those things is when you go when you go from a metropolis where there's like nothing but security jobs and like medical jobs, basically construction, when you're floor buffing, like you can pretty much go. So when I was living in Phoenix, I'll explain it like this. Let's say you're in the security field. You do unarmed security, you have the 2-year card. You can get a full-time job at like $19 an hour, like that, like within 2 days. One full-time job, or even if you want, you can get 2 full-time jobs, like which is what I did. I talked to you guys about that in a previous video. You can do that and have both of those jobs working the following week. I'm talking about 2 40-hour-a-week jobs. Here in New Mexico, to get one part-time job takes like 3-4 weeks. So, because when you go down to a smaller economy, you have to temper your expectations. And that's not what I did for the first like month that I was here. I was, also talked about in previous video, I was like really super frustrated living here at first because I hated that everyone was going so slow and things weren't being thoroughly explained to me. And when I was telling people, they weren't immediately bouncing back with, okay, do this, do that, bam, go here, go, like there was no instructions. The people here are just, they're just not very bright. So anyways, it's not like that at the job that I'm at now. The job I'm at now, everybody's actually really like smart. They're on it. They're on time. They're on routine. They'll give you an answer immediately. Like the job I work at now was like I literally have like no complaints. It's like fantastic. Like I love the job I work at. So I just hate the fact that I can't stay asleep during the day. But I mean, that's going to be any job. So it's my only complaint is like that I'm trying to sleep, on my day off, and I can only sleep for maybe like 4 or 5 hours, like something like that, like all together to stay asleep. And then it kind of like screws with my head. But anyways, so the quiet quitting part, and this is mostly talking about jobs that are just, you have to understand that when I was working, like when I was working back in Phoenix, it was kind of just like a whatever kind of thing. Like if you decided to just walk out on your job, like if, say your supervisor disrespects you, you can be like, okay, well, forget this, I'm out. Like, I'm not putting up with this. Like, I'm not doing, like, it's one of those things, I'm not doing everybody's job. I'm not going to take no disrespect. So go find someone else. And then you can literally they don't, like, every security job I went to, they did not care if you walked out of like 5 jobs. Because even though over in Phoenix, I'm not talking about Tucson. That's going to be its own story video because Tucson is just as bad as here. But anyways, it's one of those things where they didn't even care. Every interview I went to, the same thing got like brought up. Like every single one I went to, because I had like 6 or 7 jobs when I was living in Phoenix over like 5 years, because, internally I have, pretty deep-seated anger problems, and I don't take well to being disrespected. So I don't care if you question what I'm doing, or if you sit down and you respectfully tell me, hey, you did this wrong, make sure to do it this way. If you like come with me if you come at me with respect, I'll sit there. I'm still going to get mad about it, but I'm not going to walk out. I'll be like, maybe sort of upset for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then like, I'll go take a break and come back and be like, oh yeah, the guy was right. Oh yeah, the woman, yeah, she had a point. But if you straight up like disrespect me in front of people, that's not going to work. So I know what my value is. I know that I am my own walking corporation, especially in the security field. But here in New Mexico, you can't do that. You have to put up with people treating you badly, because I seriously filled out, same thing as in Tucson, I filled out like 50 job applications. I got one job, and The guy disrespected me a couple times, and me and him, I had to put on the face and pretend that I like him in order to keep, getting hours for the week, because I was basically on a part-time schedule depending on what was going on, because the week would change like constantly. So, but anyways, yeah, him and the main guy and like the people that work there, I didn't get along with them. I just put on a mask, and one time I actually almost snapped on one of the women that was working dispatch, because like it was just straight up like, where is your common sense kind of thing. And that's just a thing that I've dealt with living here, is a huge lack of common sense. Not with the current job, I'm talking about the last one, and just going to the grocery store, driving around, going to the park, like just different things, going to like CVS, just people just not thinking. So not just sitting in, okay, this doesn't make sense, so I'll do this. Like, it's not a lot of that here. So anyways, so I wanted to talk about quiet quitting, which is something that, look, I can understand both sides of it, because both sides make equal amount of sense. Because that's what I would do. I wouldn't get in a confrontation with my supervisor or his or her boss. What I would do normally is I would just stop showing up to work and just let them figure it out. And, one time when I tried to do that, they sent the fucking police to my house, but to do a welfare check. Like, it's like, okay, let's go ahead and tell, let's tell Officer Chris here, like, oh, he didn't want to show up to work because this job is brutal and it fucking sucks. Oh, well, we're just going to assume he's dead in his house. Like, So, anyways, I don't know. People just, I don't know. People have been, in my life, people to me have been incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating to be around, to interact with, which leads to the quiet quitting part. And I've done this literally so many times since 2007, which was when I first got my first job at Hutch's Car Wash. It was my first job. And yeah, I think probably I'm 37. I probably had 36 jobs throughout my entire lifetime, because I guess you can consider me as a seasonal worker. So, not anymore, but you can consider me one of those kind of workers, because, yeah, I don't, it's just, it's difficult to sit there and have someone berate you and tell you you're an idiot and tell you you're wrong. You have, like when I was working at the Red Cross, and that woman, so you got to quit screwing up, like when it was obvious that the training was just obviously terrible at that job. So it's like, oh, let me throw you into this call center training class for 3 days and throw you on the floor. Like, just stuff that doesn't make any sense. So, because, at the end of the day, it's about the dollar. Your commodity that's used basically as a machine to make sure that they're making the most amount of money possible. So anybody that's like a millionaire or whoever that focuses on maximizing profits for their company, they truly are scum. They are the scum of the earth. They're fucking gross. I do not associate with people like that. I try not to. I mean, it's just even the situation like with that video that I watched, that I was going to talk about, which I guess has a little bit to do with quiet quitting, because when people that actually have a conscience sees things like this and they quit and not tell anybody about it, in my book, that makes you a good person. Because there's this woman that I watch called Kamikaze Short Bus, and she put out a video as to why her mother died, and it was because of her doctor basically being a fucking piece of shit. So, which, look, I know I'm supposed to censor myself here on YouTube, but that's how I genuinely feel about people like this. You go to a doctor and they prescribe you medications that are obviously going to have really bad side effects and things like that, and then you end up dying from it, or someone that you love dies from it, when a second opinion, or the opinion of the first doctor, where they put you on like 2 or 3 specific medications that were working that was going against your cancer without having to get, what's it called when they stick the needle in your chest, the radiation treatment. So, yeah, and basically, essentially what she was saying is her mom died because the doctor had to push the shit that he was selling from the big farm that owned his fucking doctor's office. And that's what happens when you get on Medicaid or you get on, like one that like connects to Social Security or whatever, like with your retirement checks and whatever. It actually just gets a lot worse because they expect you to pay more money, and then they're going to push the fucking bullshit that you see in these fucking bullshit ass, stupid ass fucking commercials of, oh, well, this pill, oh, well, one of the side effects is death, but, if you do this, you're not going to have sinus problems. Like, it's just, like, it's just gross. People die every day, and it's just like what I saw in the video when I was watching the ABC News. So, like, with David Muir, my friend, when he came over like 2 weeks ago and I put it on, he was like, why do you watch this? So, anyways, and they were talking about the Luigi case and how, I don't know, the tampering of evidence, or I wasn't paying attention. Something about a gun or something like that. But it's like, look, what was wrong exactly with what he did? When he like shot that guy 3 times, what was the problem exactly? It's okay for these companies, like, Blue Cross Blue Shield, like whatever. Like, I was a pharmaceutical technician. You guys saw it in the video when I did my spiel about the fact that the guy's kid, like a 4-year-old kid, needed this like specific medication because he was born with this weird, I don't know if it's an abnormality. This kid was born with something, and when I was on the 3-way call, the guy from the call center that I called, a Blue Cross Blue Shield, told the guy on the phone, yeah, we're not covering this. And the medication was like $800 for like a fucking vial. Like, when you get bit by a fucking rattlesnake and they need that venom and it takes like $2,000 to give you one vial of it. It's essentially was the same thing, but it was a thing that, I don't know if to get a lupus or something. I don't know what he had, but he needed this. And for like 20 minutes, the guy just kept telling me, oh yeah, they're going to cover it. And he told me how much money he made. And like, it wasn't like that much. So, and I walked out on that job. I quit. I quit showing up. So, like, like what I was saying about that guy, Luigi, when he shot that guy in the head, what exactly was the problem? What did he do wrong exactly? Because that guy, for United Health and what all these other fucking multi-billion-dollar bullshit ass companies. So it's fine and it's immoral standings, because I read those comments saying like, oh, this man should be thrown in jail for life. It's like, for what exactly? What did he do? He murdered a fucking monster. That guy was the equivalent of a fucking pedophile. Like, in my eyes, when you have people and you open up all these call centers and whatnot, and it says, oh, depose, like, oh, well, sorry, got it right on here. Oh, so basically they're saying, fuck this kid, and like these other kids and these other people that need like this medical treatment or they're going to die, something that was completely avoidable, yet he's probably done that. Like, him walking, before he even got shot, when he walked down the street, like 100 people probably died because of his company. But somehow that's acceptable. Like, I don't, so I'm sorry. But when it comes to like, I'm a leftist when it comes to this issue. I'm sorry, but fuck him. Who cares? Okay, he got shot in the head, and then what? So he went before God. Now he's going to pay for all the people that he screwed over. He fucked all their families. So he went to hell. He's in the abyss right now. He's in the place of dark, what Jesus called darkness and chains. And he's waiting for the day of judgment to get judged. And he's going to be thrown into the fucking lake of fire with Satan, death and all the demons. So I don't understand what Luigi did exactly. So, but if you do what I did, you quit, like, let me say it like this. Look, the things still need to get done. But if you walk out it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know, it's just, look, I remember I got like really mad when I went to Jersey Mike's last week. And because the guy, it was clear that like they were just standing around doing nothing. Like, which is, look, to me it's understandable that because I used to do that. But at the same time, things aren't going to get done. You're basically screwed. But when you're not making the sandwich and you're kind of just screwing around, you're on your phone and doing, it happened yesterday. I waited for a while at Albertsons and this 18-year-old girl comes out with the stuff. Half the groceries were not edible. So all the fruits and vegetables, my wife had to go back to the store and give them back and get a refund. And this is not the first time this has happened. Like, I don't know if this is just a thing in New Mexico to just give you, like, inferior products and it's just supposed to be acceptable. Like, I'm not trying to sound like I'm some Scottsdale fucking Snobsdale kind of guy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, there needs to be some kind of stand. Like, why would you give me food that's rotting? Like, even the food at the fucking homeless shelter I used to work at didn't have rotting food. But anyways, that'll be next week. But when I worked at the homeless shelter. But anyways, so this girl comes out and half the food is unedible. Like, it's literally like rotting in the bag. Like, for the fruits and vegetables that are like, you know, those Ziploc things. This is like the third time this has happened. So she comes out and she keeps hitting the button on my trunk and the trunk doesn't go up because she's not doing it right. And so I'm like I'm like looking at her in the rear view mirror and she's just standing there blankly staring forward. I'm like, are you going to come knock on my window and be like, oh, excuse me, sir, I can't really get the trunk open. You know, it's just like common sense. So I get out of the car and I'm being nice to her. I walk out and again, she's just kind of blankly staring forward. What, because she can't be scrolling on TikTok for 7 hours? Like, it's like, here's the other side of the coin when it comes to quiet quitting. And like, you're basically quiet quitting when you're still at the job, but you're obviously doing a shit job. So I open the trunk and I tell her, like, I'm trying to be nice about it. And I tell her, oh yeah, sometimes it gets stuck. It didn't get stuck. She just didn't do it right. It's like, oh yeah, sometimes it gets stuck. And I was like, oh, here you go, ma'am. And then she doesn't even acknowledge me. She just, again, she's standing here, but she's looking like this. Just like just blankly staring forward, like some like 18-year-old bimbo. And so I'm like, so I was just kind of staring at her for a second, like, are you gonna respond? Like, I didn't say that, but I was just like, okay. And then I just walked back in the car. She then puts the food in, she closes the trunk, and then without like, which at least happened in Phoenix, I'm like, oh, it's okay, have a good day, sir, have a good day, ma'am. Like something I've always, even like when I was pissed off at the job, I was still like nice and polite to people that were like reciprocating that, you know? And she just like walks off with the cart, and I'm like, even like at the very last day that again, another 18-year-old girl with the Harley Quinn, that fucking nasty ass dye job, like the Harley Quinn thing, the Birds of Prey, like gross. So one, the movie sucked. Like, okay, anyways, she relieves me from my post. This is the last time I went to work at my security job here in New Mexico. She comes in. And for some reason, the first two times, she came in like an hour and a half early. I don't know if she took the bus, she got dropped off or whatever, you know, whatever. So again, this girl comes up to me. She doesn't ask me about what's going on. She doesn't ask about the rundown for the debriefing or anything about what happened at the post while I worked the morning shift. She didn't ask anything about that. She just kind of came up to my security, the little podium thing. She puts her water bottle on it and then just stares forward. Like, doesn't acknowledge that I'm there. Like, it's... So, I say, kind of similar situation with the girl yesterday. I said, oh, hey, so, and then I just initiated, I'm the senior officer, I guess. I'm the one with the pins. So, I get, like, that's so stupid. I hate that. I hate it when I go to any job and they have pins of like, oh, I'm this and I'm that. Like, anyways, so whatever, do what you're doing. I don't believe in rankings. It's just kind of corny. But anyways, so I'm the senior officer, so I just say, okay, so this is what happened with the breakdown, and I show her my paper, like all the stuff I wrote, things that went on, you know, at my post. And again, she's just like that, not even looking like to my right, and she's just like that, like the Gen Z stare again. I'm like, and then I was like, okay, goodbye, and then I just walked off. And then when I turned around, because I went to go grab my water bottle, she immediately just started putting her stuff down, like at the podium. And then I was just like, dude, it's whatever. Like, I don't know you personally. Like, I'm never gonna see you again. You know, that shit, it's just annoying. But at the same time, the people got treated very badly at that job and didn't really make that much money. And even though the job was easy, you were talked down to a lot. I watched both of the main supervisors. I watched them talk down other people, and like, it was like this, like, dick measuring contest kind of thing. Like, it's just, dude, do your own thing, dude. You want to do that, then do it. It's your, like, dude, it's your company. So, I don't know. I got no respect for men like that. It's not a man, it's a boy that shaves. But anyways, so, yeah, this turned into like a rant about healthcare, but when I wanted to talk to you guys more so about quiet quitting, but I'll leave it with this. Look, quiet quitting, it's understandable, but at the same time, it's annoying. So, because I get it that your job sucks, like working at Burger King, I get it, it sucks, but at the same time, you need to make my food. You got to make it properly. So that's, I don't know, dude. Maybe you can do what I did, just jump around, because it's like the industrial complex here, or whatever. Like, some guys just can't make it because you're real. You're a real man. You have genuine, real emotions. And when you get really, really mad about something, usually it's pretty understandable, because it's, look, dude, most of these jobs that I've held since 2007, they were not worth one drop in the bucket. So you're not just like, I don't know, man. It's just, you're not supposed to, it's like, oh, well, you're supposed to sit there and eat sludge. You know, you're supposed to sit there and eat what's in the toilet. You gotta learn to love it. It's like, how about just don't make work so fucking unbearable for like little pay, you know? How about don't have DoorDash orders nonstop? If you're gonna like have a Jersey Mike's or a Popeyes open, like how about just, if you're going to run a business, how about instead of maximizing profits, you just make it make sense and you have the workers want to work there. No one here in America, at least in the Southwest, working from jobs in California, Arizona, and New Mexico, it seems like no one could just grasp this concept. So the quiet quitting, it's like, it's both. Look, because you're screwing over someone who didn't deserve it. And when you quiet quit, other people get screwed over that didn't deserve it, because now that you're not providing excellent service, that girl that relieved me is. And then it's just, now things are going to take an hour instead of taking 10 minutes, you know? Oh, now people are going to get injured and hurt because you work at a mental hospital and you pissed off the person that was doing a great job. Now you got these bums coming in that are not willing to do anything. Oh, and if the mental patient is fucking curb stomping the nurse and they just stand there, yeah, but I got to look at Instagram. Oh, yeah, I got to look at Instagram. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of just waiting for Jesus to come back. But anyways, I can't say that about my job now. Everything's very thorough. It's very by the book. I'm very happy with where I'm at right now. So, yeah. So this is SO Chris 199. Just want to give you my thoughts on that. I went on a tangent about, you know, Luigi and healthcare and things like that, because I've worked with many doctors. I work with psychologists, psychiatrists. I work with knee, shoulder, ear, nose, and throat surgeons. I work with anesthesiologists. I've worked with I've worked with mental health doctors. I worked in ERs and I worked in surgery centers. I worked pretty much anywhere that there is a doctor. Okay. And it's true that half of them were on an ego trip, but the other half of them were actually really nice, like cool people, and we're not too fond of maximizing profits, but genuinely we're there to try to care for the people that were in their care. That's life. We're in the realm of Satan. So the people that screw over everybody else, they have the option to do that. You want to maximize profits and make as much money as you can at the expense of people dying. We're in Satan's realm. Go ahead. You're going to pay for it though. So in the end, during the day of judgment, you will answer for all that. So, don't care. Do what you want. So anyways, this is SO Chris 199, security officer. And I like that I'm a security officer. All right, so that's it. Thank you for viewing Dennis Prager's Fireside Chat in my living room.